This is me. You may be wondering why I'm on Skyblock, but this is what it was like in the beginning of the journey of the great Anstarchy. And here I will tell the tale of the great Anstarchy Part 1. By the way, this was filmed in January and up until probably about March, because it takes a long time to just get a foothold in Skyblock. So, without further ado, enjoy the great Anstarchy.
I harvested potatoes, because I would need many for the great Anstarchy. But as it was my beginning and first time ever playing Skyblock, I was rather lost. Misunderstood. Broke. And slightly bored. I took a moment to ponder. And then I continued to work. Something I've learned recently within Skyblock is that it's endless. A grind. Never ending. Seeing the greater people go by you, while you have nothing but a useless sword. And Potato 3. One of my first desires was to build a portal to the barn. That was something I wanted. And I ultimately, foolishly, as a Skyblock noob, began to just by hand pick every single potato. As my farming level went up, as my farming levels went up, I became stronger and made a little bit more money. But ultimately, it would all be wasted time, for I had not yet learned the true capacity of minions. But I had done research. Since then, and I now know everything I must be doing. The great Anstarchy began with these potatoes. I had yet to figure out what the bazaar was, and my levels were incredibly low. I was quite discouraged at the high number it felt like, but I eventually did make it. So do not worry. I eventually discovered the park, where you could reenact your first moments within any survival world. Getting wood. I took it upon myself to get every single wood type. I knew I would eventually, potentially need it. Boy, was I wrong. If I'm being completely honest, you never need any type of wood except for oak. My island was desolate, with only a single minion and Jerry to accompany me. Or so I thought. It would turn out to be a very, very suffering process. I eventually figured out sort of what cobblestone minions were and how other minions worked. Discovered I need that much cobblestone. To make cobblestone minion 2. I never did. My island was small, but I had grand plans. I knew that eventually I'd have the greatest farm to ever exist within Skyblock for potatoes. With my small chest in hand and my couple stacks of potatoes, I got to work. I attempted to try to figure out how to make enchanted potatoes, because I saw that was something in my collection. As soon as I was trying to find it, I was getting beat up by zombies. Thankfully I had enough health after doing all of that logging, as people tend to call it, but really the correct term is foraging, because that's what it's called in Skyblock. After a little bit, I decided that I would craft a potato minion. I had plenty of potatoes to spare, so I went ahead and made one. I was very proud of it. Very proud of it. His name is Spuddy, because he's my Spuddy. I also went ahead and crafted 2 more hoes, which I would use once more for potatoes. And I got my second potato minion. And my third. They are not named yet. I don't know what I'm going to name them. After harassing some more zombies, I moved on to other things. Like terraforming my island. You would not believe what this thing looks like right now. It's undergoing extreme renovations. If you want to visit it, check it out. I only have 1 guest slot though at a time, so assuming more than 1 person actually cares to be on my island, check it out. Check it out. Serious. It's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. I had finally cleared enough land to place a minion. Not perfectly though. I told him to shut up and that he'd be fine, but then I just had to pick him up because I was sorry. And I moved him over 1. And I watched him, paranoid that something was wrong with him because he was not doing anything. After I offered him a flower, he planted potatoes. I continued to terraform my island. I needed it as flat as possible for various reasons, including the giant potato farm I envisioned in my head. I placed down my second potato minion. This location was not perfect. I could not figure out why for a moment. I thought he had plenty of space. After a long time of fiddling around, I later discovered that it was the grass. Apparently, grass and minions don't get along. I told him to suck it up for a while. Already began preparations to make the biggest, bestest potato minion there was. I knew for a fact that it could be done, that the best could be made. Spuddy leveled up to tier 2. I eventually decided to return to the hub, see what else could be done there. Since I couldn't give wool to the carpenter, because I think I'm the only YouTuber who plays Skyblock who actually cares, I decided to see about making the farm suit. It would take hay bales. Thankfully, no one was harvesting the wheat.
Two hours later. Two hours later.
I decided to make for my first armor the farm suit leggings. Of course, I was going for the entire suit, but I did not want to just sit there and farm wheat in the hub. After grabbing all the wheat in my inventory, I decided I would craft some more hay bales right after I visited the farm, because I knew there had greater amounts of wheat. I also experimented and found out you can't break any block in Skyblock that they don't want you to break, even though the game is called Skyblock. It was sad.
Two hours later.
After making up some more hay bales, I was able to craft the rest of the armor. But this excruciatingly slow and tedious process, making circles endlessly, mind-numbingly, making circles, counting every single one to make sure they were flawless. Then, at that very moment, discovered shift clicking, and I decided to make the rest of my armor. I made the farm suit, the farm boots, and the helmet, completing my first set of armor. After viewing the stats for a moment, I discovered that armor may be more useful than I thought. I took a minute to ponder. After farming potatoes for about an hour, I decided I would need to head back. I still had not yet realized at this very moment doing it by hand was stupid, but I was after the enchanted potato recipe. I very much wanted it. I knew that if I had it, things could potentially possibly be smoother. After I returned from my plethora of potato farming, I decided to head back and collect everyone's inventory, even though it was not that full. And I looked at what it would take to make Potato Minion 3. Spuddy was ready to move up, so I decided to pick him up and move him to the next location, which would be the crafting table, where I would craft with wood for some reason the next Potato Minion. I felt like a god. I was already on my way. Also, tried to see if I could make that, but I did not. I don't know why I thought it, but I did. Take a moment to think. And realizing I unlocked my 6th minion slot, I was so happy. I felt like I'd have Technoblade in no time. I realized then that I would need I realized at that time I would need enchanted potatoes to get past level 4. Or to get to level 4 to be exact. I did not have many potatoes left. Only 74 at the moment. I was rich in seeds and carrots though, but I had no way to sell them yet because I did not know how. After harvesting the potatoes that the potato minions were planting, which I later realized would ruin their efficiency, slowing them down, I stopped. But at that point I was desperate. I just had to reach Potato 4. I crafted double chests to expand my storage, and I created a sign for one true reason: inspiration. Inspiration and motivation would be the key to victory, and I knew just how to get it. By making a sign and turning around and placing it and made it crooked, I wrote, I will defeat Tech him. I will defeat him. I felt so motivated. I feel motivated. I stared at a zombie who was staring at me. When I look at you, he looks at me. When I look at him, he looks at me. And the spider falls to his death. I get shot and nearly die. Ow. After spending nearly 3 hours trying to figure this all out, after 3 hours, I was finally able to pacify the carpenter, to alleviate myself of the annoying yellow bar above, and feel free at last. I was so happy. And then he talked to me about useless stuff, and more useless stuff. And then there was another bar. I was furious. I'll have you know, it took me 3 hours as well to find the last location. After reviewing what kind of carpentry items I could make, and finding out I would need VIP rank, which discouraged me because I don't have VIP rank, and I'm broke. Give me your money. I began doing a variety of things, such as exploring the auction house. I looked for Ender, and saw how much money people were willing to buy stuff for. I also discovered the graveyard and beat up zombies who also attempted to beat up me, but they were kind of weird. They just stood there. It kind of freaked me out. I was paranoid. Paranoia was setting in. But I made it to combat level 3. Woohoo! Soon they began surrounding me, and I knew I wouldn't last long. I began beating them up as I could. After doing all that, I decided to head back to my island and get as many potatoes as I could. I broke up all the potatoes, stealing them all, losing a bunch into the void. What a fool I was. But I finally had achieved the enchanted potato recipe. I was moving up. I was happy. I was excited. Invigorated. I began throwing my potatoes away. I knew that the inventory space would be important. But after collecting potatoes, I decided to head back to the hub. I farmed potatoes for about 20 minutes in the hub, and I bought some dirt. I bought a stack of dirt. I felt the power, I felt the motivation, the inspiration. I knew my destination would be victory.